Powerful Nerdcast assembles!
Stay dandy, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, demons and demonettes, the wait is officially over. The second season of The Promised Neverland has finally arrived. And I, for one, could not be happier. The Promised Neverland was without a shadow of a doubt my favorite anime from 2019. A lot of that has to do with the fact that I went into the series completely blind. I didn't know what I was getting, I didn't read the manga version, and the first episode was so shocking that I had to continue checking out this show, and the wait for this season was absolutely torturous. And what makes this season so much more exciting is that we're finally entering a brand new world of The Promised Neverland. The very first season was all about these young kids who were being raised as literal food for demons. They were raised in an orphanage, and when they found out this horrible truth, they did everything in their power to escape from this very scary world. But now, they're in another brand new one, and it's just as terrifying, if not more, than anything that we saw from the previous season, where before, the villains were humans who were serving up these children. Now, they're quite literally going to be running away from all of these monsters and demons who want nothing more than to serve them up on a silver platter. And this episode right here certainly delivered on that front, immediately picking up from the end of the last season. There is no recap to be had. They assume that you watched the last season of The Promised Neverland, and I really loved that about this episode, as it doesn't skip a beat and it moves immediately into the story, following our main character Emma, Ray, and all of the other children as they're making their way through this mysterious demon-filled forest, which is just as terrifying as it is interesting and alien-like. It's also just so different than anything that I saw from the last season, and that's what I was most excited to see, because in the last show, we really didn't see too much of the demons or demon society or how they function, and getting to see a little bit more of it in this episode and still not getting any big answers, again, is just like a giant fish hook that gets caught in your mouth, pulls you up right onto the boat of entertainment, and man, it just rocks my socks in this episode right here. What I'm basically trying to say is, I'm really glad that the show is back, and it's freaking incredible. So, let's go ahead and talk about some of the bigger details of the episode and what I can hope to expect from this season. First and foremost, let's go ahead and talk about the brand new intro. I want to say that I loved the intro from the last season. It's so good, I would dare say it's perfect. It's one of my favorite intros of all time, mostly filled with a lot of symbolic imagery, but it had such a hard-rocking song that prepared you for this epic adventure with all of these children that I felt that it could never be topped. And I'm not quite sure how to feel about the new intro, but I will say that I love the absolute imagery of it. It is just gorgeous. There are some amazing, creepy images in this intro, which again are mostly more of the same, showcasing all of the main characters as they prepare to go on this next journey, but there's a lot of shots here that are disturbing, like going back to the Gracefield house and seeing all of these orphan children where they're actually being served up on a platter. It's very disturbing. We get to see a lot of the mainstays actually return, like Emma and Ray, a lot of these brand new demon characters, which look like they're going to be very prevalent and important in the series, some of which are going to be evil, and some of which might actually be allies. And then we finally get to the episode itself, which again skips nothing. It just immediately gets back to the adventure of Emma and all of the orphans as they're running through this forest being chased by some sort of giant monster. This is actually a scene that takes place later on in the episode, but most of it here is just sort of catching up with all the main characters as they've entered this brand new world that they've never seen before. This is when we get some big information dropped on us in this episode, like the fact that that pen that was left behind thanks to Norman is actually some sort of weird holographic device which actually creates this map that they can see, and this was all left behind by that mysterious character William Minerva. And Minerva is sort of trying to help these kids escape by using Morse code and all of this weird sort of like cryptic imagery that was in the books and in this pen in order to get them somewhere safe. And it's remarkably interesting, to say the least, in how it actually all works. It's also a reminder of the weird things that we're actually going to see in this world, as the last season was incredibly subdued, with basically all of these kids being stuck in one location for the entire season. Now we're in the middle of a giant demon-filled forest, which is like something out of a Miyazaki film, with weird flying fish and bugs and strange plants, but then we have strange, really scientific technology that's being used, like holographic pens, and then suddenly it just turns into a giant monster chase scene where the children are running for their lives from these very creepy looking creatures. Luckily, these children do have someone to lead them, and Emma is definitely still the default leader of the group, with Ray sort of being like the really cool, calm, and collected collected and sort of badass member of the group. But every single character manages to complement each other just like the last season. With Emma and Ray sort of being like the default mother and father of these children, it's still a very interesting dynamic here. But it leads to a lot of really great scenes, like the fact that when they finally get caught up by the pursuers from the Grace Field house, they decide to split off in multiple directions, with Emma and the other children going one way, and Ray actually leading them away with a lamp, because, you know, Ray's a badass. The demons that are chasing them too are absolutely terrifying. I especially love that they don't all fall into like a distinctive category. Like some of them are quadrupedal, they almost look like horses with masks. Some of them have giant, tall, lanky limbs with massive swords. They're all really disturbing, and it leads to a really great scene where Ray looks like he's actually about to be captured by them, when suddenly he is found by another demon who's riding on a demon horse. He picks him up and he brings him to safety. Luckily, another member of this guy's group actually ends up saving Emma and all of them, and they bring them to this weird secret cave, which is filled with all these illuminating crystals, and that's where we're introduced to the concept there are some demons in this world that are actually kind of nice and seem to want to help out these humans. We don't know why any of this is. It could be connected to William Minerva. It could be some sort of other weird sort of civil war that's going on between the various demon groups that exist in this world. But the fact of the matter is, Ray and Emma are a little apprehensive about working with these people that supposedly have been wanting to eat them the entire time, and then boom, the episode just ends. So what's the rundown on the very first episode of The Promised Neverland? It's one of those blink and you'll miss it kind of episodes. It just moves so quick, and man, I'm so glad that the entire episode didn't get sort of jumbled up in terms of the exposition and re-explaining things again. This is truly a second season for people who watch the first. They're not going to waste your time. They're going to immediately move into the next part of the story, and I think that is awesome. Now, to my knowledge, apparently, the Promised Neverland manga has been completed, so I'm really interested to see how that's going to affect the pacing and the number of episodes that the series is going to receive at this point. If they're going to be able to potentially wrap it up all in the span of this season, or if they're going to have to go to a third, a fourth, or even possibly a fifth. The fact of the matter is, I just want them to adapt the entire story properly, and I really want it to do justice, and so far this episode really worked on that front. Again, the thing I'm most excited for is just seeing more of the demon society and the world that exists, how they interact with other humans, if there are actually ones out there that could potentially help them, or if they're all simply just in a farm somewhere. There's a lot of interesting questions for how this world is actually going to work, and I'm very pumped up to see how that's going to be. The good news is, if you loved the characters from the last season, they're here, they're just as memorable as they were there, and now we're going to get to see them in a brand new setting where they're really going to have to strut their stuff in terms of using their brains, their brawn, and a lot of bravery. It's going to take a lot of that as we make it through this entire series. And I really love the concept that they're actually being demons who are actually going to be helpful to the children. If you actually watch the ending of this episode, you'll get to see that one girl with the hood who is the one that actually saved Emma and their group. And I don't know, she has an interesting design. I don't really know what to say about her at all. We do know that the person that saved Ray is apparently some kind of a badass demon. Can't wait to see more of these guys. But yeah, there's just so much more promise for where this the potential of this series can truly go. Production value-wise, it's still looking pretty solid. This is a very dark episode, not in terms of the storytelling, but more so in the actual look of it. It's a very dark episode. Most of it is night as the kids are running through the woods and seeing all these weird, creepy monsters, which, again, managed to still make a pretty big impression despite the fact that most of the time they are in the shadows of this episode. But the overall flora and fauna of this demon world is interesting, and I really do love the look of it. I just want to see it in daylight. I want to see more of it. And one more thing that I want to mention, and something that I did talk about in the last season, I love the character design of the series for how distinctive it is. There's a number of characters who are in this episode, most of them being the orphan children, but every single one has a very distinctive look about them. They don't just blend into the background, and for a series to take the time to even just give a distinctive look to characters, I think is really important. A lot of the times these characters might not have any dialogue, but as long as they have a distinctive look to them, it's something that will make them memorable. Luckily, the big main characters of the series are still really great. Like I said, Emma is sort of like the mother of the group. Her overall optimism is great. Even when being chased by a giant bloodthirsty monster, she's still optimistic, saying, "Just pretend it's a game of tag. Don't worry, it might devour you whole, but it's just a game." Dawn is still there to be brave and be the muscles of the group, and Gilda is there to basically be the brains. And every single one of these characters complements one another, and not having Norman here just feels so wrong. I'm still convinced that they did not kill off his character. I'm just going to say that right now. We didn't get to see a body, we didn't get to see a formal end, and the way they actually left the Gracefield house there's something here that's still a little weird and itching my brain a little bit. I really would like to see the return of his character in some capacity, but it remains to be seen. We're just gonna have to see it all play out in this brand new demon world. So the Promised Neverland is back. It's got a brand new feel, brand new pacing, and brand new tension to introduce to the series. And so far, I think the first episode was pretty damned awesome. I loved this one. 5 out of 5 from me. But you heard my thoughts. I want to get yours. Make sure to sound off in the comment section below telling me what you thought about the brand new episode of the second season of The Promised Neverland, what you're hoping to see from it, what you liked about the very first episode of the series, any theories about what's going on with these demons, why they're helping out the kids, and what you hope to see from the rest of this season. So, there it is, guys. I want to go ahead and address an elephant in the room. There's a lot of reviews that I'm very late on, some of which I haven't even completed yet, like Akudama Drive, or freaking Yashahime, reviewing the Boruto anime. All that stuff is going to be coming up very soon. The fact of the matter is, I had a very busy holiday season, hanging out with my friends, my girlfriend, family. Everything just kept me away from the studio for a while. And to be perfectly honest, I needed a little bit of a vacation and a refresher, and I really liked it. But I'm excited to finally get back into the reviews and videos. I have a lot of Patreon reviews which are going to be coming up. I actually just released one recently for Golden Boy. Please make sure to check that out. Hell, I'll put a link in the description box below for it, so check it out. Leave me a comment, leave me a like, share it with your friends. Basically, I'm trying to sell my stuff right now, so you need to go ahead and be good little consumers and check it out. Or don't. Really, it's your choice. But the fact of the matter is, videos are coming, so please make sure to stay tuned for those. There's a number of other shows that are coming out this season, some of which I know nothing about. I would love to hear all of your requests and shows you guys think that I should be checking out, and some other video topics that you guys want me to cover. Otherwise, we'll talk a little bit more about that stuff later. I might do another whole, big update video. But I really wanted to talk about this show today because, one, I loved the first season so much. Like I said, favorite show of 2019. And now that the second season is here, I just got to talk about it every week. I'm just so pumped to see what's actually going to be happening next for the show. But that's basically it, guys. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. I also want to go ahead and thank all of my patrons. You guys are freaking amazing. Making donations every month is one thing, but the fact that you guys continue to make those donations, watching my videos, and giving me the feedback on everything is just nothing short of spectacular. Remember, first-time donators, I'll review an anime series of your choice, and I would love to add your name to this list of all of these amazing people who support this channel every single day, every single month. You guys are incredible. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.